Day community. Happy almost post-Easter. This is the last Sunday prior to the close of Easter. We go into the Pentecost season. And I want to ask a really, really fundamental question, and I'll give you some stuff to work with. I want to ask, do you believe in resurrection? And I want to press that with a more fundamental question. Why? If you say yes, why do you say you believe in resurrection? And a lot of the typical answers are, that's our faith. Our faith? What about yours? And where does it come from? Well, it's in the Bible. That's a history of the faith community and the belief of the faith community. So, yes, it is the belief of the faith community as articulated in documents that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. That doesn't make them any less true, but it does mean that it's not your experience or mine necessarily. Maybe it is. Maybe you have experienced exactly what those stories are talking about. I think most of us haven't. We've heard the stories over and over, Jesus' resurrection, and we just take it for granted. And that may work lots of times and most of the time. But when the rubber hits the road, when the road gets really rocky, when the road gets full of potholes and we're having trouble navigating, I'm going to suggest that somebody else's faith is not going to get us through. We really need to say, in terms of resurrection, I believe in resurrection. I believe in life beyond what is visibly present. I believe in resurrection beyond this life, because that's my personal experience. At least the experiences that I have that support that allow me to say, yes, I believe in resurrection. So let's look at, and I'm going to use stories that you've heard me use all the time. I'm looking at the world I live in, the earth that's under my feet, and what do I see when I look at that earth? And I'm looking for reasons to say I really believe that God is a God of life, and in a way that says it's not just a story. It's not just what somebody else tells me. It's something that I have experienced personally, so I know it to be true. So let's look. The Easter season is spring, and spring is new life. So prior to spring, what's the earth look like? Frozen, at least in this part of the earth. Frozen, cold. It appears lifeless. You plant something out there in the snow and it's not going anywhere. It's going to decay. And in the spring, what happens? The earth begins to thaw. And as the earth thaws and the sun comes out and it warms the earth, what do we find happening? We find that life begins to spring up. Life begins where there seemed to be no life. Where the earth was hard, it becomes soft. Where it was cold, it becomes warm. And in those conditions, things change. So the earth, which looked dead, which looked barren, isn't. It's obviously more in a cold sleep. And play with that, use any word you want for it. But it looks like it was dead, and now it's waking up. And as it wakes up, things begin to happen. All the things that I've talked about so many times, whether it's the little spring peepers, those little tiny, tiny frogs the size of your little thumbnail. Now, I say that now. A couple of days ago, I was in Stratford, and I'm hearing the sound of the peeper, which is usually early morning or evening, in a little concrete pond, waterway or pool, and I'm going, that's strange, and it's really loud. So I'm walking over and trying to see where's this little peeper? Because it's exactly the same sound. I know what it is. And in the crack, back under where the water does its exchange, is the little frog. Only he's not so little. All the peepers that I've seen in my life have been the size of a thumbnail. Tiny. This son of a gun was probably, he's as big as my thumb. He's huge. But it's a peeper. And he's singing the spring song. I mean, it was amazing. And I tell you that story so that when I say peeper, I have to now say peepers are not necessarily these tiny little frogs in the spring. They can be big ones. That frog was every bit as every bit as big as my thumb. So he's big. He was a big boy. So these little frogs come out and they begin to sing, and it's their mating call. So you get the mating call and the breeding, which is all part of spring. New life, new growth, making new life. That's the spring peepers. Out of a earth that seemed dead. What else do I see happening in spring? You see the wildflowers starting to come up out of earth that was barren and cold and frozen. There's new life coming up. The earth softens, the earth warms, and out of that new warmed earth rises new plants, new life, new flowers. And all the kinds of flowers that I've talked about, and go out and walk on a rail trail and see what kind of new flowers you can see. They're all over the place, and it's wonderful. So what the earth says to me, God's earth says to me, in this season, out of what seemed to have been dead, the earth is now coming to life again, giving life again. And so it's re-happening. It's reoccurring. The earth says to me, I don't know whether you believe in resurrection or not, but have a look at this. Listen to the spring peepers. Look at the wildflowers. Look at the grass growing. Look at the weeds growing. Dandelions. The earth says, even from what appeared dead, life can come. Life does come. Life will come. I believe God speaks to us through these kinds of experiences. Through the world that we live in, God is telling us there is life, even after what appears to be solid, cold, dead. New life, resurrection. So do I believe in resurrection? Absolutely. I believe the earth is telling me, yes, even after what appears to be death, solid death, is there resurrection. Yes, there is. Year after year after year. And I think God keeps telling us, well, if you didn't get it last year, can you get it this year? If you didn't see it last time, can you see it this time? And how many new ways can you discover the reality of new birth, the reality of spring, the reality of renewal? And that's what resurrection is all about. There are lots of ways to talk about, see, experience resurrection. And it seems to me that God says, even in the earth we live on and live in and live with, there is life after apparent death. There are new beginnings after what seems to have been solid dead ends. And so as we move into spring, as we move into the period of Pentecost, let's experience the burst of new life that we're seeing now. Let's let the earth tell us what our faith has been trying to tell us, that God is a God of life, renewal, new birth, regeneration, resurrection. Experience it, trust it, and live it. God bless.